Hello ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? This is Force with some more Destiny gameplay. I'm actually pretty stoked to show you what we're going to be showing off today, and that is gameplay footage from the moon. Bungie held this little event this afternoon in which they opened up a brand new area, something that has not been available for the past week that the beta's been open, and that is a single-player story mission on the moon. Now, in the past, we've actually got to do some PvP matches on the moon, but this is the first time we get a large portion of the landscape, and there's a mission, and we can sort of explore, walk around, and just check out this new environment, see some new enemies, and that's exactly what I'm going to show off for you here today. So I want to sort of walk you through my encounter because there was a hugely awesome and pleasant surprise, and something that really, you know, I know I've been talking about this game and showing off some footage, but I've still overall sort of been on the fence because I wasn't quite sure if they were going to deliver in terms of content. But this little brief snippet that I got this afternoon just has me super stoked now. So I want to walk you through this whole experience that I had. Alright, so first things first, we arrive on the moon, there's a new mission, it's like a level 8, or you can do it on a higher difficulty to be a level 9 mission. And the premise is, the Hive, which is one of the enemy factions in this game, the Hive have been laying dormant on the moon for quite some time, but then they awoke, they started attacking Earth, and we're actually going now to the moon to sort of explore this recent activity. And there was a Guardian who was previously there, and he's gone missing, so we're trying to find his location. So, you know, I go through and I do the mission, and it's pretty neat. I get to hop on a manned vehicle and blast some enemy faces. You know, there's the narration, the storytelling through your ghost, and it actually ends up at the very end with a bit of a boss fight. It was basically just against one of the warlock type enemies, but it was a really neat, just the process of getting there, that was all very neat. So that was all well and good. You know, I did the mission. I think it took somewhere in the vicinity of 20 minutes, and then I left. I went back to the tower, which is where you sort of turn in quests and identify items, and I was like, you know what, I haven't done this yet because I never repeated missions except for new characters, but I was like, let me go back. I want to go back to the moon and see if there's anything that I missed. So I went back in the ship and I went back to the moon, and I went through the story mission again, but this time, before completing it, I decided I just wanted to explore. So I started walking around. You know, the narration of the quest when you do a story mission sort of take you from point A to B. But I decided to go off that trail partway through, and I discovered sort of this the backside of the moon. I discovered the dark side of the moon, and I went down into this bit of a valley, and then I saw this huge gaping hole, and I was like, well, that's kind of cool. You know, it's probably just a set piece, right? You know, it's this big hole, and the Hive are supposed to be down in there, and it's just a visual thing, right? So I walk up to it, and I start going around. I'm noticing all these little nooks and crannies. There are these little caverns that I can walk into. I was able to find some sweet loot. I actually found a golden chest, which has a better chance of like higher rarity items. You know, I'm fighting some enemies. It's all well and good, but I keep going around this giant crater, and I eventually come to the other side, and I see some enemies to fight through, and then I go down into what I would describe as a labyrinth. It goes by the name of, I think the first instance of it's called like the Gateway, but it goes by the name of the Hellmouth, and I want to call this, like, to me, honestly, it was like dungeon diving. That's what it felt like. I went down into just these layers upon layers of cavernous, like, catacombs, and all these sorts of enemies in there. And there was, it was just really cool. And parts of it were very reminiscent of me. I think a couple of things come to mind. I would say the Locust Caverns in Gears of War are also just like when they're in the mountains in Lord of the Rings. That's this vibe, the feeling that I got from the environment, and with just these large open spaces with big caverns, and then you're winding through these various tunnels and coming up on these new interesting locations with like these ancient artifacts from the Hive that probably serve some spiritual or practical purpose for them. You know, the other really cool thing about going into this area is I was encountering a brand new enemy type, the Ogre, and then there was also this big sort of crystal pyramid thing that would shoot homing missiles at you, which was pretty terrifying, actually. It did massive amounts of damage. In fact, even when you kill it and you think you're safe, but then no, when you kill it, it then expands even further and chases you down with even higher damage dealing missiles. It was kind of intense, but I guess the purpose of all of this is, number one, I wanted to show you some footage from the moon, the newly unlocked area. Again, they briefly opened it up this afternoon to all beta players. You know, for myself personally, my biggest concern with this game is how much content there's going to be. They have said previously that the content that's available in the beta is roughly 10% of the game. And I'm almost hoping that's not true, because if you take, if you take everything that we saw in old Russia and then you multiply that by 10, that's supposed to be the final game, and it seems like that might be a little limited. Again, I don't know if that quote is actually true or not, but I suppose the point is my biggest concern is content and whether or not they're going to deliver an interesting, fresh experience. You know, the gameplay, it is what it is. It's a shooter. The guns, relatively boring in the sense that it's just pretty straightforward weaponry. You know, there's nothing wild and zany. The Borderlands reference comes up often with this game. I think it's there because of the RPG elements and like the magic abilities that you can get on your characters, but it's definitely not there when comparing the weapon variety and sort of the zaniness that you get from the weapons in Borderlands, because that's definitely not present. That's definitely not present in Destiny. It's pretty straightforward shooting, but the gameplay is just fundamentally very, very sound, as I've repeated over and over again in my videos talking about this game, and you know, it's just shooting though. So what they need to deliver for this game to be really top-notch is the content and something to keep us coming back and to keep us continuing to want to play. And going into this new area and seeing this labyrinth of the Hellmouth and just all these different caves, and I kid you not, I did the first mission. Like I said, it took me like 15-20 minutes. And then when I found this new area, I was down there exploring all the different nooks and crannies for well over an hour. Over an hour for something that I double backed to check to see if there was anything that I missed, because I was already done the mission. I was done. I left. It was just a very cool experience. I wanted to share it with you guys and just show you some of the other things that Destiny has to offer beyond what you've seen in most of all the video coverage that's already been released up until this point. And that is pretty much going to do it for this video, guys. Thanks so much for watching, showing off some gameplay footage from the moon, talking a bit about my experience this afternoon. I hope you enjoyed the video. There's going to be a couple more Destiny videos coming up as I've gathered some footage. I'm probably going to be showing you some stuff like hopefully the strike in the game. I'll show you hopefully a bit of multiplayer, but beyond that, you know, there won't be much else until the game launches, and we'll see how much I dive into it at that point. Like I said, it's really going to come down to how much content. If they can deliver more experiences like what I got a taste of this afternoon, then I'm going to be super excited, and I can't wait to check out the new environments, the different planets, the different types of enemies, all of that. Yeah, and here's hoping. You know, we always hope for good video games, and this is no different. Whether or not it's overhyped or whatever, I want to play good games, and so far this has been pretty good. Let's hope they can follow through and really deliver a lasting experience. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a great afternoon. Stay tuned for more great gaming coverage here on the channel. Keep watching and keep owning.